Alright, so now that we've got the rocket following the path quite nicely, we're going to start dressing this up a little bit. So first off, we'll provide a setting for our rocket, and we're going to add another layer in underneath the rocket. So just like Photoshop, the page turn is our new layer, so we'll click on that. But we need that beneath the rocket layer, so I'm just going to drag that down, and we'll name that background, just so that we can keep these layers straight. So there we go, background. And if I click on the stage with my black arrow and then check out my property tab, it brings up all the settings for the stage, and one of the settings is the stage color. So I'm going to click on the stage color and choose black, which gives me that nice night sky. And I'm just going to make sure that I'm in that background layer, and I'll get my brush and paint with some white to add in a few stars to the background. So there's a few big stars. We'll make a few smaller ones. And now it just gives a little bit of space for our rocket to fly through. So now when I scrub that, it just looks a little bit more realistic with space back there. And then the last thing that we're going to do is take the rocket and provide some fire exhausting out of the back of the rocket. So to do that, we'll go to our library, and we've got our rocket up here in the library. So we'll double click that to get into the editing of that symbol. Okay, so there we are. We know that we're in the symbol because there's the crosshair, and we've got the rocket title up here, and there's no extra space around this. Now, just again to keep this straight, I'm going to double click that layer name and call that the rocket, because we're going to add another layer here called fire. And I've just got ahead of myself a little bit here, so I'm going to get rid of these frames. So we've got that single picture. We'll add another layer. I'll call that fire. I'm going to put the fire underneath the rocket layer so that I don't have to be too careful with the drawing. Now the rocket's not going to change. It's always going to stay the same. So I'm going to use 5 frames of the rocket. So I'll just hit F5 to fill that in there. And each frame of the fire is going to be uniquely different. And if you've ever watched fire, fire changes its shape very quickly. So we'll get our brush, we'll get a nice fire color like a red-orange. And I don't have to be careful here because it's on the layer beneath, so it's not going to disrupt the actual rocket. I'll just make sure we've got a closed shape and use the bucket to fill that in. Now this is some frame by frame animation because the fire is not going to be the same as we progress forward there. So I have to hit F6 there to put another frame in. Now I don't want this fire, I want something similar but different. And we can click on our onion skin just so we can see that little bit of a ghost behind there. So we'll click in there, use that ghost as a guide so that we sort of don't have the flames going in the same spot, but similar. And we could even have a few single bits kind of flying off here and fill that in. And then we'll just continue doing that for the rest of this symbol. So F6 again, delete that fire, redraw something similar. And fill all those bits in. And just a couple more here. F6, delete, redraw. And fill. I'm doing this pretty quickly, so you guys can take more time with yours. F6 again, delete, and redraw. Now here's something that you need to know about working with symbols, is that this is a timeline for the symbol. So if it's on the stage for say 50 frames, it's going to play this one 10 times because there's 5 frames of this. So when it reaches the 5th frame, it's automatically going to loop back around to the 1st frame and just play those 5 frames of fire over and over and over again. So there we've got that. We'll turn off our onion skin. We could scrub across this a little bit. So there's the fire kind of moving. And here's the rocket staying the same. The rocket's not going to change. Okay, so let's go back to scene 1 and scrub now. So we've dynamically changed our animation by putting in the background and adding some fire, which really makes that kind of a cool animation and pretty simple. If we were just to start and finish that, we'd probably be done in about 5 minutes.